listening to the Local Earshot Podcast with your host, Jonathan Grissom. Let's talk about music.
Hello, everybody. This is Jonathan Grissom of More Bands Media and the Local Earshot Podcast. I am here with, how did you say your name again? It's Irian Darkwood. Is that that's your stage name, right? That's like your full on for all the music you put out and everything.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Right.
All right. We're just going to get right into this. We've been going through a lot of little technical troubles right now. So just kind of go over, I guess, like how you got into music and kind of what led up to like what you're currently doing in music and all of that, kind of the backstory of your career.
Well, I'm 43 years old, so there's a bit of a backstory, I guess. So I started singing when I was really little. You know, I always liked to sing in school, choirs, stuff like that. I always wanted to sing for, my grandparents when they came over, things like that. And I always got caught in my room singing. And so there was a little start there. And but the really big start, actually, and people would be maybe surprised to hear this, that it was at karaoke. And so there's a fairly good karaoke scene around here in Halifax. And I started to go, and I got a taste for the live singing and how people reacted. They liked the songs. They would come up and compliment me, which was ego boosting. I like that. So and so I got a taste for that, and so I wanted to continue to do that, but I wanted to do original stuff too. Like I can do covers fine, but original stuff, really, that's personal. So I started to write songs, and they were just poems at first, and I became pretty well known around the karaoke circuit, actually, for what I was doing, and I would sing things like Guns N' Roses and Skid Row and Def Leppard and stuff like that, and so I kind of incorporated some of that stuff into my music, the influences and stuff like that, and I decided that I'd make my own experiences, go to my music. And I'm not a very good songwriter. I'm a good poet, but I'm not a good songwriter. So I have a lyricist that took my poems and turned them into songs. So the format's good for songs. So it's still my work, but it's in a different format. So it's really cool what they do. Actually, they changed up some of the words, of course, to suit a song, but it's really good, and it gets the message across. And so far, I'm receiving a pretty good, response to that. So.
Okay. You said Halifax. Is that where's that located?
So that's Halifax. That's Halifax, Nova Scotia, in Canada.
Okay, so you're out of Canada. Okay. Yeah. See, so I'm always curious, like, how you came in contact with my show, because I'm out of Oklahoma City, and most of the bands I do are Oklahoma. But like every once in a while I get like people that listen to the show or follow the show or like have found the groups that I run and everything like through the internet. So then it like runs like all the way to like Europe and like all of that, and I find listeners over there, and I'm like blown away because I'm like, how does this spread like that? So.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that, today's technology, it spreads everything. So, speaking of Europe, so my team is actually in Europe. They're Swedish. And so my manager's over there, my producer's over there, everybody's over there. And so I record remotely, obviously. So my manager actually knew about your show. And so I think he went and he told me to contact you, and here we are, I guess.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. Like I said, it's just some, like, I don't know. I don't consider it a big thing. I the following's not, it's growing, but it's not like extremely large, you know. And so like it just always blows my mind because I have connections of like managers and producers and stuff like that are coming out of like, was it one of them's out of Indiana, and then there's another one out of England, and then there's like another one out of like almost in Russia. It's like one of the smaller countries out there by Russia. So it's kind of interesting because like we started the show because we were trying to like get more people to come out to shows during the pandemic. Like whenever the pandemic happened, we're like, okay, shows are shut down. Artists still wanted people to listen to their music. We still want that connection with people. And so we started this show because we were like trying to like put that in front of people and say, hey, you know, like whenever shows start coming back out, you guys should start going to shows. And in Oklahoma, I mean, it helped, but then like now it's starting to taper off, and it's like people aren't. And it's interesting that you said that, like you learn, you know, from like karaoke and stuff, because like out here, cover bands are kind of what everyone tends to listen to. Like if you start a cover band, you'll play every big venue in Oklahoma City. But if you have original music, it's almost impossible to get into those venues because nobody, like in Oklahoma, a lot of people other than like the people that are in the scene like really care to listen to, you know, new music that's like from some like artist on a stage. And it's kind of sad because it's like there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of talent worldwide, and it's like, but a lot of people don't, you know, they don't grip on the local music until people actually get famous, and then they're like, oh, I knew them whenever they were local, and it's like, but they never even listened to their music, you know. So
yeah, I mean, you can't get famous if you don't, you know, people don't just start out famous. So you have to see your shows. You have to come to the shows from the get-go. And that's what makes people famous, is that people continually go to their shows. And so they grow a fan base that way. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you have, I don't know, Taylor Swift type things.
Yeah. Which is insane, honestly.
I mean, I watched her from her beginning, you know? That was crazy.
Yeah, like I learned about her career at we have a music college here. It's called ACM, and like we went over her whole career, and it was like discovered as like some teen in like she was actually out of another state, and then she just went to Nashville on a whim, and then started playing at places in Nashville for like a trip, and then that guy picked her up, the guy that owned the recording studio that she was originally at, and then that grew from like all the way to where it is now. And then whenever she had her issue with the record labels, she apparently had her. What a lot of people don't understand is that the group that bought her records, he didn't own a record studio. There was no recording going on. Basically, what he was trying to do was shelf her work. And so, like, she would have to go through somebody else to record anything new. They were going to make money, almost like an investment, off of all of her work. And she was going to make a lot less money off of that. But because she had the publishing rights and had the recording rights to that music, because it's all original music by her, written by her, she was able to actually make it where she owned the music, and so she was able to make Taylor's versions. But not every artist has that opportunity to do that, because a lot of artists, you know, they have other writers, they have other people that are involved, and so like if those other people don't want them doing something, it kind of holds up a little bit of the work, you know, of being able to put out new versions or new things. And so I mean it was actually really interesting to know that that's the real reason behind what happened, because all these people look at it as from two different perspectives, like, oh, well, she's just being greedy and blah blah blah, and it's like, no, like this studio was literally trying to rip her off. And I mean, and you learn that about the industry. I mean, the U.S. is really big about that. Like the industry out here there's a lot of corruption, and I mean, and there's a lot of, you know, I don't know how it compares to Canada versus Europe, because we did learn that there are other laws in those, you know, those countries that are different from our copyright laws or our publishing laws. So I mean, like, what kind of goes into just like being able to produce a song in Canada and put it out to people?
I actually don't really have a proper answer for that because where I work through Sweden,
Hmm.
I kind of abide by their laws there.
Okay,
So it's my manager knows that answer,
knows all
but
that stuff.
he I guess that's kind of the drawback to having a team is that they kind of do things for you, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't really know what's happening sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean the focus though, a lot of artists here they do the was it do it yourself or whatever, DIY? Yeah.
DIY, yeah,
DIY, yeah.
yeah.
Do it yourself. They do a lot of that here and they don't understand the use of a manager or a team, like why that's important. And it is extremely important, to have those people, like because they know all the laws, they know all this stuff. And I mean, even though like you can actually focus on working on making music versus having to worry about all that stuff.
Mhm.
And so that's where that's the important part of like what you're saying. The other side of it is that, like, yeah, it's like understanding how it all works is kind of my thing, like because I'm on that management side. So
Mhm.
my brain always goes to the, like, okay, was this done correctly? Did this person do this? Are they going to get paid? Because that's really what it comes down to, is getting paid.
Mhm.
And if our artist doesn't do something right, then somebody else could literally just take the copyrights off their music and take their music from them. And it's pretty wild. But in the U.S., it's so easy to do that stuff. I mean, we don't have like, our copyright law is very, very laxed in a lot of ways than what people actually really think. Because people are afraid of it because they're always like, oh, you wouldn't copy this, you wouldn't copy that. But in truth, it's very, very in depth.
Mhm.
Um, and so, what's the live scene like out there?
Well, honestly, that pandemic, it did have quite an impact on, as it did for the rest of the world too. But it's coming back. I'm seeing. I know a lot of musicians. They're posting their stuff. There seems to be a lot going on locally here. So I think it's becoming more lively again. It was pretty lively, and then the pandemic kind of killed everything for a little while, and then so we're working our way back up here.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, out here it was pretty wild. Like, we in Oklahoma we had like a more open state than the other states were, and
Mm.
and so like some of the venues they'd have shows, and then like everybody would get sick, and then they'd have to shut down everything, and then
Mhm.
they'd have to start over basically. And then some businesses went under, and then some of them came, actually expanded. And then like over the years, like a lot of things have changed, like in the scene. Do you guys get a lot of that, like, you know, I guess competitional type stuff going on in your scene, where like bands are trying to play certain venues, but then other bands get to play them more, and it's harder to get in certain places? Or is it like pretty open to new people coming in and playing music?
I think it's pretty fairly open. I haven't heard of anyone having any troubles personally, but I don't know everything that's going on there either. But it's from what my standpoint, I guess it looks pretty good. It's yeah, I'm pretty sure that I could book if the price is right. Of course, that I could book wherever I wanted to, and they would be okay. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So do you guys do straight pay, or do you guys do like booking by the door? Like, what kind of deals
I
do
think
they
that
work
depends
there?
on the I think that depends on the venue really,
Uh-huh.
and what the artist decides, with the venue and
Right.
of course in my case I'd have to talk to my manager about what he thinks about that too. So
Okay.
it's kind of how we all agree. If we all agree on something, then it really depends on what we agree on in the end.
Right,
Everything's
right.
here.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's it's interesting because it's like I said, you having a manager is different from a lot of the way that a lot of the artists work,
Hmm.
out here, because
Hmm.
they'll make a deal, like a handshake deal with the venue, And the problem with that is that there's no contract, there's no paper trail, there's no nothing. And then the venues, some of these venues been known to not pay their people, and then they end up months later, like, they can't go to court with it because they don't have the money to go to court with it, and then they end up just getting basically, oh well, we just lost our money that night. And it's like, no, you shouldn't have lost your money that night. And then they just put their name out there, and slowly that doesn't work out for the venues. I mean, they end up going under, or they end up having to change what they do as a venue because bands will stop playing there. But then a lot of times they won't even offer them money. Like, they'll just offer them a place to play.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then they'll tell them, I understand that some of the concepts, because they'll say like supporting acts or like out of state acts will come through, and they'll say, well, they have to get paid first. And then the local acts are just kind of like doing it for like just in case, and maybe they'll get paid. But I mean, it's kind of interesting in the sense that, there is definitely money there, but then like not everybody's getting paid, and the artists aren't actually like benefiting from the show, other than that they're growing their fan base. I know whenever I used to work in a Live Nation and stuff, my buddy, he worked at a company called Got Bass Music out of Colorado, and they would sit there and ask like photographers to come work for them, and they would have them come in and take photos, and they'd say, well, you're building your portfolio, but then when they get all their work, they'd sell it to papers and make all this money off of them, and then they would turn around and be like, well, yeah, but your work was sold in the Gazette. And it's like, but I didn't get paid for my work. And then the moment they start asking for pay, they'd get rid of them and then grab another photographer, and they would do that again and over again. They would sit there and do that stuff. And it was kind of ridiculous, because it's like these people are providing a very unique talent, and yet you're just like kind of using them and then moving on to the next one and using them, and these people are all still doing it. Like, they're still coming up to it. There's always another photographer that's ready to go, and it's the same way with like venue music. There's always photographers that are ready to go shoot a show, because that's probably some of the funnest photography you can do. And so I mean, they're always like jumping to the opportunity to do it. But then the venues, they'll use their work, and they'll sign contracts that will say like, oh well, we own every image that you take, and we own it, not you. Like you just got paid to come here, and then we owned everything. And so then when they try to put on their personal pages, they get in trouble by the venue, even though that they originally took the photo. And a lot of times they can get past like certain copyright laws and stuff to say that, well, actually I have the right to do this because, I created it, But I mean, it's the same in music, like publishing and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of boring paperwork, stuff, I guess.
That's why I'm glad I have management. I don't have to do that stuff. But I thought of a couple of things. One of my friends, they had an instance where they were at a venue, and they said they were going to get paid at the end of the night, and then the venue changed it over because they did that handshake thing, and so there was no paperwork. And so at the end of the night they said, oh no, we're paying you by people who come through the door and stuff like that, and we didn't have enough people, so we can't pay you. I was like, it's 3 hours of, what do you mean?
Yeah, 3 hours of work and
practice and hauling my gear and said all this stuff. What do you mean you're not paying? And then they were talking to me, and I said, did you have a paper? Did you sign? No, sorry, they can do that to you. Yes, unfortunately, but that's why management's good for me, because they'll clean you out if you try something like that. So. Right. So I get paid, and it's the photography thing. I do photography too, so I completely relate with that stuff too. And I don't understand why people think that art in general seems to be a free thing. That you put your blood, sweat, and tears into all your art, and there's equipment, there's personal stuff, there's all this thing, and with my photography, there's hours of work go into that. And people think it's just point and shoot. It's hours of work, hours.
Yep. I have a buddy that spends he's really in depth with his art though, like what he does with photography for shows. Like he'll spend 9-10 hours on a set, and they'll have like hundreds of photos that he took because they have them on triple clicks and stuff. So then he can pick out the best visual that he got. I do paintings, like the painting behind me. Like I actually did that. So
Yeah,
like
I was
yeah.
gonna say that. Yeah, I do some pour art myself, actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
So that's what that
Yeah.
looks like. Is it pour art that you
Yeah, that
you
one
said?
is. Yeah, that one's there's an under thing and then an over. So like it's like the under painting and then there's like an over painting of like
Oh, yeah.
the painting. Yeah, I mean like a lot of the pour art stuff I do. I have like a whole studio area in my apartment,
Nice.
and I mean yeah, the amount of cost that goes involved, and then like the amount of paintings I have to sell, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous,
yeah.
and
And
I haven't really sold that many, and
and I've had instance with my painting where there's actually one sitting in my box right now because of this. And so what happens, because I take half up front. If you're paying, take half up front. And for me, and so I got half of the money, and then they didn't want to pay anything more, so I kept the painting. I was like, well, I just made money and kept your painting, so
yep.
that's not you now.
Yep. I mean, and then and they'll get mad about it. They'll say that wasn't fair, and it's like, well, no. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
like
no.
you're trying to.
I had it written out, so I had proof, so they couldn't do
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one painting I have in a gallery out in Norman, Oklahoma, and it was one of those deals where like I trusted the person that was wanting to buy it, and he said, oh well, I'm gonna buy this painting. He's like, I'm gonna commission you to do it. He didn't pay me nothing up front. He was a friend of mine, for a very long time. So I just was like, I have no problem about this. If you don't buy it, I'll just have a painting. So I did it, and the painting came out really really good. And then he just kept ghosting me every single time I bring it up. Like, hey, your painting's ready. Yeah, your painting's ready. Come pick it up. And he
Yeah.
just like ghosts me, and I'm like, why? Like, why? Why do that to someone? Where you could just say, hey, I don't want it, or like that. But then I posted it online and to everybody to see it, and he's like, oh man, that's a really nice painting. I'm like, this is the painting you were supposed to buy. And then he never DM'd me to buy the painting, and so it was like, I mean, honestly, I gave him a really good deal because that painting goes for about $300 to $400 now, and that painting was like literally I was gonna give it to him for a lot less money than that.
Oh
I
yeah,
won't say
yeah.
how much because then I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
sell it for that. But
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I was gonna give this guy this painting. I was gonna commission it for a lot less money than what
Yeah.
I actually can probably get out of it now.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean,
And
but
it's
yeah,
like,
the art community is definitely like involves all the different parts of it, like music, art. I mean, we all kind of run together out here. We do vendor events and have music with them and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I think it's all closely related,
oh yeah.
and it all kind of acts the same. Like whenever it comes to the legal side of it, it's all creative work and just having to put it out and hopefully get what your worth is. When it comes to your creative process, how do you, like you said that you write poems? Do you write do you write like a lot of your music side of it, like your instrumentals? And
No, and I have a team for that too. So
okay,
yeah, they help with that, and so they're really good at it because I mean, I can sort of pick things out on a piano, but I'm not really that good there. So I sing, and they do the band stuff, and it's hey, it's really beneficial to have a team like that. Like I can't stress that enough. If you're out on your own, get a team. They will help you with everything. So it's it doesn't have to be so hard as it can be for some people. Like I know a lot of people that are really struggling because it's so hard because they're doing everything. They're playing, they're singing, they're producing, they're PR, they're all these people. And I have a team for all of this, which is really, I'm very very lucky. So there's not a lot of people that get that opportunity. So I got lucky.
yeah, I had a what was it? It was weird. like, because, you know, I know a lot of artists, we all have to have, like, day jobs and stuff on the side to, like, make a living and all that kind of stuff. And what I do is since I do my art stuff and then I do the music stuff and then I do the podcast and everything else, I work for Uber and Lyft, you know, sometimes so that I can make money to pay bills and be able to do all this other stuff so I'll have the free time. And I had a writer the other day and they asked me that. They're like, well, yeah, I mean, but like what really goes into music management? And I was like, well, there's a book. I was like, it's by a guy named Ari. I was like, it's called How to Make It in the Music Business. And I was like, and in that book, I was like, if you go and read it, I was like, there's an entire chapter where it has a table, and in this table it has certain positions in like a little circle diagram, and it says management, and then it says like photographer, it says, you know, publicist, it says social media manager, it says, you know, like all these different jobs. And I was like, these are all jobs that individuals can work inside the music industry, but also these are jobs that a manager has to manage all of these people to bring together for an artist, and so the artist doesn't have to do all of this stuff, and you know, and it takes some of that stress off, so then they can sit down and actually write music, they can create music, they can work with the, you know, with their team or their hired guns or whoever they are, so they can actually, you know, sit down and just make music. Versus if you make a song and you spend 9 months trying to promote that one song because you're trying to do everything yourself, a lot of times that's where a lot of artists end up, you know, quitting, because they just roll and struggle all the way until they just quit. And do what?
It's I said it gets very difficult, and you bend under that pressure, and you quit. I kind of went underground for a while because of that, because I tried to do everything myself. It doesn't work for me that way. There's so much, and you don't realize how much exactly is involved until you do it. And you know, social media especially. I mean, I post my own social media stuff, but I also get a lot of directions on how many or what to post, or, you know, this kind of thing. So then I look like I'm a great poster, but, you know, if I were left to my own devices, it'd be a wreck, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, I do a lot of that myself, and it's horrible. I mean, honestly, I absolutely, like, I'm not a fan of social media. I'm not really a fan of Facebook and Instagram or any of that stuff. And honestly, any time that I can create a tool that will do the work for me, I tend to lean that way, you know, in that direction, to like put on the tool and then just let it just take care of that. So like if I post to Instagram, it automatically posts to Facebook. I don't have to write to post, or like, you know, the way that I promote episodes, it's like I have a software that automatically puts an audio version to YouTube right whenever I put it out. So then it does it for me, and then I go back and I have to upload the video version of the episode to YouTube. But it's like, but yeah, everything's just this extra stuff, and there's so much of it. Like there's like 10 different social media companies now, so like it's or even more, you know. So I mean, there's probably hundreds of them, but like, but for the main ones, there's like about 10 or 15 of them, and that becomes a pain. I've been trying to focus on like TikTok now, and it's just like, I don't even try. I'm just like, I don't have no time for it, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm just like, I mean, I guess I hope things grow. And then it's funny because like it's been growing, like, and I haven't put out an episode in like a month. I mean, like I said, like this is a new episode that I haven't I haven't done in about a month because I had some stuff going on medically, so I had to like take care of that. But I mean, it's definitely good to like sit down with people and understand, you know, the importance of like what you're talking about, because a lot of these artists, they'll tell me that they're like, oh, we don't need that. Oh, you know, our drummer does this, our guitarist does this, this person does this, and they start naming off all these people in their band, like doing all these different things, and I'm like, or you could just have somebody do it. And then the funniest thing that I've ever heard was one of my friends, they thought that they were talking to famous people through like Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, for one, either the account's fake that you're talking to and you think you're talking to this famous person, or you're not even talking to them. You're talking to like like a person that was assigned to their social media account to manage it for them.
Manager, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how are they talking to you right now in a conversation on the internet while they're on stage playing right now? Like,
Well,
that doesn't add up.
I got contacted through Instagram by Joey Tempest from Europe. And right away I was like, yeah, okay. And he's talking, and he's like a normal talk. And I was like, okay, so first of all, what time is it there?
Yeah.
And he failed his test because I knew where they were touring, and it wasn't there. So,
Right.
I was like, so how are you on? And he doesn't have social media anyways, so he doesn't do it. So I was just like, yeah, well, it was nice talking to you. Try getting a life that's not someone else's.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, that's what one of my friends, like, she was saying that she thought that she was talking to, like, the singer of Blue October, I think it was.
Yeah. Okay.
And apparently it ended up being some guy from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, after a while, he finally admitted to her who he really was and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And for some reason, she still sent him money. And I'm like, like, man, if that person must be so smooth, they probably got a bunch of people to do that, because, like, that's pretty wild. Like, if you can talk somebody into doing that, it's like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, people do that. They don't even when they fall for it, they're like, well, I still feel sorry for this person. It's like, yeah.
And that's it, yeah, because they tell a really good sub story, a lot of them. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, well, I did this because I needed this, and oh, sorry for your luck, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at on that.
Yep. It's like, sorry that you felt you needed to do that. Next.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a nice person, but I don't do fraud. I don't like that. I don't like when people pretend they're other people. So I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me see. So about 30 minutes in. So I'll probably play the song now. Yeah. Okay. So the song is let's see, Greensleeves, and in it, you mention a lot of like different things, social media stuff, like Amazon, like all those different like companies, things like that. It sounds kind of I don't know. I've heard some holiday songs that have that kind of sound to it, but I can't pinpoint what that, the cadence and everything, the song. I can't put it in my head like what it's supposed to. Like there's a song that I have in my head that like it sounds like, but I can't bring it forward. So I don't know what it is.
So the song is actually Greensleeves. So there's a song called Greensleeves, and
Oh,
it's
is
a
there?
old traditional song. It's an old English love song actually, and so
Okay.
it's but it's very slow, and the language is alas my love, you do me wrong, something like that. So it's not quite appropriate for today's age. So it's with the help of my manager actually. He and I updated the words a bit, and I I don't want to claim to be an expert, but I kind of am on the creeps online. So, I get my share of those for sure, as do probably a lot of people, whether guys, girls, whatever.
Hmm.
They get out, because girls are creepy too. So let's just put that out there. Girls can be creepy too.
Hmm.
So it's not just about the guys. I had some backlash on that because guys are like, well, not all guys are like that. No, but they are, and women are, and people, they take a lot of liberties today because they're hiding behind that screen, and keyboard warriors, people like that. And so it's today's universe is very computer, phone, technology based, and so you have to be really careful out there.
Hmm.
It can be really overwhelming, and it's as for my Netflix queue being full, well, yeah, probably it probably is. I have all these things that are full. Amazon at my door. I order from Amazon. It's kind of especially because of the pandemic. I think a lot of people became almost reclusive,
Hmm.
and so ordering online everything. Food, medical stuff, and TV, all this stuff is online. So you don't really have to interact with people anymore. And unfortunately, because of that, some people have kind of lost their idea of how to interact with people appropriately. So, at least that's my theory. It's my hope, anyways, that it was some cause of this and they weren't always like that. But, I get my share of people. They show me pics of, things that I don't really want to see.
Oh wow.
If you understand that. Yeah, the movie industry would bleep that out or blur that out. Those
Right.
things, that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Sometimes it's just how they say hello. Hey, here, have a picture of this. And what
So
was
I
that?
don't understand how that's always an opening in conversation.
You walk up to
Like
people
that
in
people,
person and
because
go, hey,
girls always
look.
tell me that all the time, and I'm like, how does a guy think that they're just gonna get a girl's attention with just sitting
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that?
It's like, do you
But
walk down the street and there's a girl, you pull your pants down? Like, no? Okay, then don't do it here.
I
Like,
mean, I don't know. We have slightly a homeless problem in Oklahoma City where those girls will do that. So
I mean, maybe. I
you
mean,
know,
it might be with some of us too. I don't know, but generally speaking, that's not
yeah,
real
it's not a
people.
common day occurrence that
You
happens.
know, that kind of stuff can get you arrested.
Yep.
So I mean, but the thing is that there's not a whole lot of consequence online, and that's how people they express this stuff so much easier and freely, and there are a lot of women and men that they're, some of them are in fear because of this, because it's really scary sometimes. I've been stalked. That's scary, you know.
Hmm.
There are stalkers online. There's stalkers in person. I mean, but online you never know. They get into everything. They can hack your stuff. It's crazy, and so it's a serious topic, but I made it kind of fun, and because it's kind of like lightening the mood a bit. It's so people can relate. It's a serious topic, yeah, but they can kind of poke fun at it at the same time, because if you can't, fix it, laugh at it a bit. That's my
Right.
theory ways. So if it's not going to go away, at least try to, move on and have some fun or something. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of the reliance on things like social media or like just disconnecting and just watching like TV and stuff. I actually I was noticing that I was spending all my time watching Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and all these platforms. That I wasn't focusing on my other stuff. I wasn't focusing on art. I wasn't focusing on business stuff. I wasn't focusing on my podcast. And it was because I was just getting sidetracked in these shows and stuff for a while, and then like whenever I go down to a store or something, because I have a Jeep, and we jokingly like to call them just empty every pocket, because you lose a lot of money on these vehicles, and parts are not cheap, and so like I'd have these car troubles, and I'd go to the auto zones or car parts places, and they would say, oh, well, we don't have that in store, you have to get it online. And it's like, and that became everything. So anything that was cheaper, brands or price wise, was online, but anything that was in store was like the part that costs $150, versus like 60. And you're going, well, and then you said, like interacting with people. It's like at that moment you're hearing that and you're going, well, why the F is that? And you're mad because you're just trying to fix your stuff, but then you're like, so now I have to go online if I want to save money. And then the worker's like, I'm sorry, I have no control over that. And you're like, I know you don't, and you get all mad, but you're like angry, but you're like taking it out on them because and so a lot of people are experiencing that, where they're having people to get, take stuff out on them, and it's like they have no control over what these companies have done, over this time, and programs got destroyed. I'm a veteran, so like at the VA, like they had programs that they used to do, and they used to do these like outings and stuff for veterans and all sorts of stuff. But then after the pandemic, they never brought the program back. So they don't exist. These programs don't exist no more. And it's like, it's the same with like a lot of these businesses and like event centers and all this stuff like that they built, and then they don't really do anything. They don't do events at these places, and it's like, well, you guys built it for that reason, but then the pandemic happens, so then they don't do events. Like we have an entire amphitheater inside a park, and they hardly ever play shows there. And it's like, but originally that was supposed to be like a weekly thing. Like they were going to do shows like all the time. And then they lost so much money over the pandemic because of it, that they built it, and then they lost all that money that they were like, yeah, but you would think that they would just bring it back, because they'd be like, they'd make more money to bring the money back, but they still haven't done it. So, I mean, there's a lot of that. So, I don't know.
And sometimes it's a matter of people. As I said, they're more reclusive now, and even musicians sometimes they just don't want to go out anymore. Why not? I can record at home. I can put my stuff out online on streaming platforms. I don't need to go out. Well, I mean, yeah, you do kind of. I mean, it's you want people to come out, and you want to. Let's bring humanity back some here.
Yeah, I try to go to shows like during the evenings. I try to go to shows, like live shows, if they're available. And I mean, I could do it that other way. That's the thing, is that I could go fully online, where I just sit at home and I just look for bands all day long and just hit people up on email, like how you were messaging me. So I messaged back, hey, do you want to do the show? Versus like, messaging bands that I message directly, and I'm like, hey, do you want to come on the show? And it's like, but I don't have to technically go watch them play. I don't have to do any of that. I can listen to them audio and then be like, okay, they have a good sound. I'm gonna have them on the show, and then I'll have them on the show, and then move on to the next one and move on to the next one. But instead, like I tend to be very involved with the bands that I have had on the show. I go to their shows and I support them, and we're all friends, and it's one of those things. It's part of it being part of a community, but like a lot of times nowadays it kind of loses its traction, because like we have a venue here that the owner, he was looking at Spotify numbers, and And so, like, I brought him this idea for a show, and he goes, well, do they have the numbers? And I was like, I was like, numbers? And he's like, Spotify. And I'm like, well, they bring in people in the door every show they play in Oklahoma. It's like these artists, these 3 artists, they bring in artists, which means if they all 3 bring in artists, they're going to pack your venue. And he said, yeah, but do they have the numbers? And I'm like, no, they don't have the numbers. And he's like, okay, well, then they're not going to play at my venue. And it's like, because they don't have Spotify numbers. But then turn around and then turn around. And this is a teacher at the college. He came back and asked the class why a show failed at one of his venues, because no one showed up, because the artist that he played there was was really big on TikTok. And it was like in, the millions of followers on TikTok. So he thought, oh, well, if this is like millions of followers artist and we book them, then they're going to have a packed house. And no one showed up. And then when they asked the class, hey, like, why'd this happen? All these students go, oh, that artist? Oh, no, they're really big in like the younger teen market. And you guys don't have an all age venue. And and that's whenever it hit him that he's like, oh, man, like, I just booked this artist not even knowing that the fan base was literally teenagers, and they can't even afford to come to the show. They want to, but they can't. And
that's
so
that's the issue if you don't know your stuff,
Yep.
You got to know what age group you're catering to. Like for me, again, part of my team members, they do that. They scout out who's listening to me or who's on my social media. So, I have an age group that I know I can play. If I play in person, I know that I can cater to them, because I'm not gonna appeal to the teenage 13, 14. I'm not gonna appeal to those people. That's
Right.
not what I do. And I think anyone, my kind of music, that's not gonna. They're gonna sit there. Carol, Irian's really uncool. So you almost got my real name out of me there. But so Irian's not cool. Well, I'm not cool to the teenagers, but I'm cool to some of the older adults for sure. People my age, 43, people a little younger than me and mostly older than me. That I apply to. I appeal to that. They're the people that buy my music or watch my stuff or come to my social media, and there's quite a few. So you got to know what you're doing there.
Yeah, most definitely. Now that is another important thing that you point out, that people need to know about the industry. I mean, that's like knowing your audience is extremely important, and a lot of these artists, some of them don't even think about that. They just go out and play, and then they'll play a room, and then there's been artists here where they'll be like, well, I like to just go play, and if no one in the room likes the music, that's their fault. And it's like, or you could just go play venues that play your music, and you might actually grow some fans. But it was a weird style of music anyway. This person was basically just making noise, like random sounds, and it was
some artists like that.
Well, it's a drum and bass thing, but it was like a techno type artist. Yeah. But the artist after him was like a very it was like an experience. Like this guy had it reminded me a lot of that European techno when I was stationed there. It's like it's very, very like the machines that he created, like the stuff that he created. Whenever he would like hit certain notes, the fog would like come out of the fog machines at that exact moment. So then it would just and the room was like very cool. And then they had this machine where like it was an instrumental machine, but like every single time that he would like do certain things, the machine would do stuff. But he created this thing, and it looked awesome during the show. And this guy wears a mask and everything. And this guy, like, he was very involved. Everything was like an experience throughout that whole show. The guy before him got up there and just had a backbeat, and then it was just like he was just throwing in random sounds, and it was just like the most annoying and stuff. And then he would throw in these loud beeping noises. And the beeping noises, I have tinnitus, so it kept setting it off, and I'm like, and I had to go outside. I'm like, I can't be in there. And then whenever I saw him after the show, I said, yo, man, like, I don't want to be rude, but man, you set off my tinnitus. And he goes, oh, good, that's my goal. And it's like, if your goal is to damage people's hearing, like
Yeah, that's not cool.
you're never gonna book here. Like, you're never
Yeah.
gonna book here again. Like, they're gonna,
Yeah.
like, cause even the producer that runs that venue, she came out and she's like, I will never book that artist again. She goes, that's the last
Yeah.
time I do an unsight unseen on an artist and just let them come in and play. She's like, I need to listen to their stuff and
Yeah.
make sure that they're good enough. Cause this guy didn't even have any music online. He just told her, oh yeah, I make this kind of music. And
Oh, so what you did in your basement?
yeah,
Anyways,
exactly, by yourself, and you thought that you
yeah,
were talented. When in
yeah.
truth, like, then you go out and play in front of people and they realize that, nope,
I
nope, it's
wonder,
really bad.
I wonder if I banged
So,
on pots and pans if I would get an audience. Anyways,
right?
yeah.
There's a guy here that's actually really talented. You can find him online. It's Hosty, and he's a teacher at ACM, but he teaches like cultural classes, and it's like
Okay.
very, in depth on the music history. I mean, he's really smart when it comes to music history. I've learned so much about like how everything came about and everything from him, and all the eras of music, psychedelia, like all this stuff, like from this guy. And he has an instrument thing that he built where he's a one-man band, but he has like the drums, and he has his like foot, and then he has a harmonica, and then he has a guitar, and he's like playing all of these parts himself
That's
while
really neat.
singing. And he'll like pull back and he'll sing too, and it's like, it's incredible
Nice.
to watch. But I'm like, I don't know how much time or effort went into what he did to create
Yeah.
all of that, because that's a
Like,
lot of work.
that's
So
really cool though. Yeah.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're sitting at 49 minutes. Usually go for about this long.
Okay.
Is there any like go back to the second half? Is there any? I mean, are you planning on any type of tours? Are you like?
None yet. Maybe soon. We right now we're just recording stuff online, and like I said, we're getting out to the streaming platforms and stuff like that, YouTube and Spotify, SoundCloud, stuff like that, and social medias. But I'm going to be moving to actually over to Sweden because it's closer to my work, and my fiance is over there too. So it's so I go over there, and when we get there, then I'll be doing a lot more stuff. Hopefully, I'll be going around, if not just locally, maybe on the bigger scale to different places around Europe, and then maybe I'll hop the pond, as we say, and come over to North America and see how that goes there. It's all in the weave, I guess.
Right. Fully
So,
understand. Yeah, I mean, it's wild. Like, if you get to that level where you're like world traveling, across tours, across state to state, or country to country and stuff. Because I mean, I lived in Europe for about three and a half years. So
okay.
yeah, so I've definitely been all those countries that everybody talks about. So I mean, but my thing is that like Oklahoma, it's definitely a different scene. And but I mean, in a way, it's kind of good to be centralized where I am, because I mean, I get contact from all over the U.S., but it's like, but it makes it where I can actually spread this outward, instead of it being like, oh well, I'm in California and I'm only focused on California, or I'm only in New York, and because their scenes are so big there that you can be focused on just one element of music. You don't have to be focusing on like all of music. And in Oklahoma, though, even though I'm born and raised here, like it gives me the ability to actually like be connected, like almost like a spider web, like let it grow outward and just hit wherever it goes, So, so yeah. Let me see. Well, I'll end up getting like a profile for you, like what do you call it? Abouts and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just do that after I finish this recording. So thank you for being on the show, and I will talk to you later on.
No problem. Okay,
All right.
thanks.
All right. Thank you.
All right, see you.
Bye.